I heard a song today, and it really reminded me of Collective Soul. And the thing is, whenever I think of Collective Soul, I think of two very specific times in my life. The first time is the first one that comes to mind, but it's also chronologically accurate. I never got into Collective Soul. I didn't get into a lot of good music until high school. And so Collective Soul was one of those bands, and I remember specifically driving up Union. I was driving up Union, and I think I was just cruising around town, or I was going to Kmart or something, and Collective Soul comes on. And I remember I heard that guy's voice in like 3 different songs. It was December, it was Shine, and then there's one other one that I can't think of off the top of my head. But it's those 3. And so I kept thinking, God, these guys are really good. And around that same time was when I wanted to get into buying albums. So this was the time where I was like, hey, I should go and try and figure out who this is, and then try and get the album. That makes sense, right? Well, at the time, it was a little bit tougher to figure it out. You'd have to just hope that the guy on the radio would say who the band was, or the name of the song, right? And a lot of the times they didn't. So it was really tough trying to figure out what the name of the song was. And at that time I was 17, because I got my license at 17. So I remember specifically driving up that hill, up that road, going up towards Kmart, and I remember hearing that song come on, and I was like, yeah, today, it's one of those moments where, have you ever had that, where you're doing whatever, and all of a sudden it's kind of like a mental snapshot, and you know it happened. You think, oh, I'm going to remember this. This right now is a marker. This is a keystone, a keyframe in my life, and I don't know why, but it is. That was one of those times where I got to figure out who this is. And of course, I later found out it was Collective Soul. So at that point, I started getting into them, and then I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And yeah, that's where that started. But the second time is, after high school, immediately after, well, not immediately, maybe like a year later or 6 months later, I actually moved out to California. I was talking to this really cool girl, and may I also say, very attractive girl named Kayla. And we'd been talking a whole bunch throughout my senior year, and I think my junior year too. That's a whole other story. But anyway, she asked if I wanted to come out to California to live with them, her and her friends, and because the college is cheaper, so I did. So the setup out there was the 4 of us. It was a 3-bedroom situation. It was her and her boyfriend, and then it was her boyfriend's sister, and then there was another room left for me. And so you're probably asking yourself, why does this have anything to do with anything? Well, the thing is, when I moved out there, I had gotten the Collective Soul albums by that point. I had gotten, I think it was their greatest hits. And so I also was just marathoning different games and things. I was marathoning at that time 0 Hour, Command & Conquer Generals. And so I played it so much that I was just thinking, you know, I'm going to put on some other music. As it happened, I just put Collective Soul on repeat. I kept listening to it. So now whenever I get to the very ending levels of 0 Hour, or even a big chunk of 0 Hour, all I hear in my head is I hear Collective Soul and just finally getting to the end of that game. I was playing as the Americans, and I got to the end of it. There's like this big ice level where you're going over the mountains or whatever, and I just remember sitting in a bunch of helicopters and all this kind of stuff, and it was great, and I'll always remember Collective Soul for that. What I also remember when I think of that, I better slow down here. I hope you can hear me, by the way, because the car is kind of loud. It's not a car that's made to be quiet. The other thing that I remember from that time is, I mentioned that my friend's boyfriend's sister was also living there, and she had the biggest room in the house. It was on the other side of the wall from my room. And I have a history of sleepwalking since I was 4. I started like just getting out of bed and doing stuff. And so anyway, it didn't stop. And at this point, I was working really late hours. I was working, or early hours. I was working from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. at Target. And so what we would do is we would put tinfoil over the windows so that we could get to sleep on time. And that's what I did. I'd go to bed, I'd play all these games, go to bed at like, I don't know, 6 or 8 at night. And then I'd sleep. Well, the thing is, I'd wake up. I mean, not wake up, but like I would open my eyes while I was sleeping. And there is no sense of light. If you've ever done that, there's no light at all when you tinfoil the windows if you do it well. So that makes me freak out because it makes me feel like I'm in an abyss. And so when I'm dreaming and all this, I start freaking out. And the level that I freak out is, it's not too variable, but it can go anywhere from just, oh, I'm at the end of my bed, I better go back to sleep, to full on this incident, which is what I'm going to tell you. Make sure you don't fall over there. In this instance, I had to be told about it later because I didn't remember it until she mentioned it to me. But at one point, I woke up in a sleepwalking situation. I wasn't awake, and I was standing on my bed, pounding the wall, screaming like I was trying to get into somebody's house to murder them. And it happened to be this girl named Amanda, and I was just screaming, Amanda! Amanda! And I was pounding fucking just bloody murder on the wall. And I'll remember it because the next day when she reminded me of this is how my sleepwalking works, if somebody mentions it and I think about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I recollect it. And I remember when the very tail end, I was screaming and pounding on the wall, and then it clicked, which is usually what happens with me. I click, and suddenly I'm awake, and I realize what's going on. But most of the time, I'm just really tired and want to go back to bed. So that's what happened was I clicked, I was like, stopped screaming, and then just fell over, and went right back to sleep again. And yeah, so when I think of collective soul, I think of high school, having good times in high school, driving around in my giant-ass boat car. And then I think of Command and Conquer, and then I will inevitably think of just freaking the hell out of this girl. And she told me what she did was she heard me pounding and screaming, and she got up silently, walked to her bedroom door, and locked it. And that was it. And then she just went back to what she was doing because she was awake at the time. I thought that was kind of funny. One other thing I want to talk about is I really opened up a can of worms in my last vlog when I said about the medical thing and that I didn't really want to talk about it. And I still don't really want to talk about it too much. It's not something that... I guess I brought it up because it was pertinent to what I was talking about, but the specifics of it aren't necessarily a big deal. But I had a few different folks reach out to me and make sure I was okay, which, as far as I can tell, I think so. It's nothing like a heart attack. Knock on wood, plastic, whatever. It wasn't anything like that. That event wasn't like that. I did feel like I needed to go into the, the clinic for it. I ended up just researching a whole lot, and really what happened was that it was something that probably wasn't super serious, but to me, it spooked me because it was more symptomatic of something else. And I'm like, well, this is new. I'm in my 30s. This probably shouldn't be happening until way later. You know, like, this is a sign probably, because of course you go on the internet and it's like, oh, well, this could be symptomatic of something just cataclysmic. You know, maybe it means kidney failure or liver failure, and it's like, god damn. Well, I haven't drank hardly, and I haven't drank very much. If you look at the last 5 months, I really haven't drank that much, and I've probably drank a total of 3 different occasions. Something like that. So I'm like, well, I hope it's not that. But I've also done my fair share of drinking with the boys and through some heartbreaks and things throughout my life. So, I mean, is that what it is? I don't know. But anyway, just to let anybody who is concerned about me, which I thank you that you are, it's nice to be reminded that people do, like, hey, people do watch the things that I make and then they are concerned about me. It does kind of feel nice to have that reminded once in a while. But as far as I can tell, I think I'm okay. I'm monitoring the situation. I feel like it's not affecting anything else. I think I'm okay. But yeah, walking is a major thing. One of the biggest things that I saw to help with it is you can go and walk. And like, all right, But yeah, I went and I talked to my parents about it. I didn't talk to anybody else about it, except I'm talking now. But I talked to my parents about it. They were like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's kind of cool. I'm probably only making this really more mysterious by talking about it like this. But I might open up about it one day. At the moment, it's one of those things where I'm throwing a boundary down. I kind of don't want to speak about the specifics of it. But I don't think it's anything that would normally be embarrassing for anybody either. But I also don't know anybody else who has that. So whatever, we'll see. Tune in next time. No, that's not what I'm trying to do here. Alright, so let's talk about something else. I'm about I want to say I am 6 episodes deep. Yeah, at this point, I'm about 6 episodes deep into Wind Waker. God damn it, I said it again, not Wind Waker. Also, I took the wrong road. I'm into Link's Awakening, that remaster of Link's Awakening. I love it. I'm having a good time. What's interesting to me, and this is coming from my side of things, is I'm making this so that it will entertain me and all of that. And I'm trying to do it differently than what I did before. But one thing that stands out to me is when I'm recording it, I feel like I'm being too expressive, too obnoxious, because the last thing I want to do is be one of those YouTubers who is completely overreacting to just every single thing and I've made fun of these guys, I've talked about it before. I just hate watching those kinds of videos where they're laughing. You can tell everything is the most forced laugh you've ever heard for every single second of every single video, for everything that happens, and it's just, good lord, I don't want that. And when I go back and watch the videos that I've done so far, they're too chill. Except for the voices where I talk like this. You know, some crazy old prospector. It almost seems too chill. And so, right now, you're watching me trying to find the sweet spot for what I want to do for my Let's Plays, because I cleaned up some of my old videos and all of that, and I just really want to get this to the way that I want it to be. And so with this Let's Play, you're probably going to see the editing change here and there. I'm going to use this as a way to really dial in what I want, so that 10 years from now I can go back and be like, God damn, that's where it started. That was a good Let's Play by the end. That game's long enough. Can probably do it. I'm going to go in and get some hot chocolate. I don't think it gets much cozier than this place. This is pretty cool. I don't know who Amy is. Nobody else knows who she is either, I've decided. So I went and got my hot chocolate. That was legit. Nobody in there, as you can see. Came back out and I'm like, do I want to get cookies? Yeah, I want to get cookies. And the thing is, ever since I started playing Rebirth, I've just been hooked on these things now, these dipping cookies from Insomnia Cookies. That's all I got for today. I just want to go into town, get away from the house for a little bit. I'm gonna try and go do some more of that Let's Play for Link's Awakening. I'm gonna try and figure out, I think if anybody knows, if you know a good way to keep that camera in place, I would love to hear it. And if you can even hear me, I think I'm gonna put grip tape on the bottom that you have on skateboards, or maybe some duct tape or something, I don't know. I don't want to put anything permanent on the dashboard because I want to keep my car pretty cool, but yeah, I'm going to try and do some more Let's Play of Link's Awakening. This whole thing is a rebirth unto itself. I'm going to experiment. I'm going to experiment with sound levels, sound style. I can mix music. I should be able to mix voiceovers, but I've got a deep voice, so it's a little bit tougher. And styles and all of that, so we're going to see. At the end of the day, I want to have something that I'm happy with, that I can watch over and over again myself, and say, God damn, that's really cool. So that's the goal. Alright, Zach out. Let me just point at you and make you uncomfortable, because that's what I'm doing. I'm talking to you!